Evening, everyone. I hope you're well. How many have we got? We normally have quite a few, don't we? It's alright, a bit late, but yeah, things decided to break my end. Whoopsie daisy. But we're fine, we're good, we're alright, we're alive. But yeah. So today we're going to talk about the earner for obvious reasons, because we need to figure that out. We'll talk about the market, what's happening this week, a pretty big week, earnings, and obviously some price analysis. But yeah, let me know if you can hear me okay, if you can see said screen okay, all that kind of good stuff. And obviously, like normal, yeah, just give me input, questions, and I will ruffle. I will talk some shite as normal, as per. But yeah, let's talk about the earner. So, in my opinion, I do think we need to take a few out. Just because of the risk to reward, in my opinion, is probably the thing that we need. Looking at some of them, yeah, be nice to go for some absolute simple ones and just buy the dip and buy low and make some money. But I think we need a couple of X's. And I think when we look at the Matic, for example, really obvious. I mean, you could probably argue that maybe Quant could go much higher than its all-time high, but still, it feels like it's like still quite hyped up and it's not really corrected much versus some of the ones that are on the list here. Some of them are a little bit new. There's like A star on there, A0, for example, that are relatively new. Some of them have been battered with poor launches like ICP. You've got a new narrative play with Ocean, with data and AI. Yeah, there's some interesting ones. And obviously I've put on the likes of Nia, Metis and ADA from my own holds just to see what the scope is. Obviously Nia is winning with Metis second, which makes you wonder, right? So there's a lot of options here that we can look at. I don't really want to put my own bags in unless there's some really poor options out there. I think VeChain's a solid option, even though the market cap is relatively high, but there's at least a 7-8x in VeChain, and it's probably one of the most established projects out there and probably the most obvious kind of pick out of the bunch. So yeah, it's kind of one of those situations. But yeah, let me know what you think. Obviously, if you've not yet done the vote, feel free to do the vote. Algo and Rose I'm pretty happy with, but that being said, you know, the likes of Nia would be a bit of a stretch. It'd be like a layer 1 protocol on it in terms of everything, like, because Algo's a layer 1, Rose is technically a layer 1 but with privacy. If we have Nia in there, it's another layer 1. So even though there's a couple of layer 1s in here, there's a few different options. So I think it's an interesting one. I think Metis for layer 2 would be very nice. I think VeChain would be pretty nice as well. Possibly Hedra Hashgraph. The one that I was thinking that I would like to have was Make a DAO, which no one's fucking interested in, which is interesting to note that. As a solid use case, but yeah, it's probably one of the most solid out there with the DAI. But yeah, we shall see what happens. But yeah, I'm not too turned on by putting my own portfolio in there. But I thought I'd offer the question, and everyone wants to, which makes sense why, because it's kind of, they are good picks. But I do think we can get around it. We're looking for risk reward though. But we'll come back, we'll circle back. If you have any questions, feel free to chuck them. But we've had 142 votes, so obviously you can vote a bit more, and we will. But this week, fuck me, what a week. So I've said this on Learning Crypto this morning, it's probably the most important week of the year. We're at the end of the month, nearly. There's one more day of it. There's FOMC decision rates, there's ECB decisions, there's Bank of England decisions, right? There's some huge earnings, and I will go over that in a bit more detail soon. There's some monsters, right? But there's also the likes of the PMIs. You know, yeah, mental. When we look at PMIs for the Europe, China, etc., and GDP as well in the Eurozone. So there's a lot of things that can upset the apple cart. And we finish the week with a non-farm payroll. Like, fuck me. Let's go. So it could be very, very interesting, right? So for me, overall, I do think there will be a volatile week. I am expecting a pullback. I've said this last week and the week before last, but, you know, this cannot sustain. Any market will pull back. It's just a matter of when. Now, I'm not talking about the little 2-3% pullbacks that we're getting and everyone's getting turned on by it. I'm expecting a biggie, like a big monster, because we have went up over 100% on a lot of assets. You know, a 20% dip in that situation is not unheard of. So expect the unexpected, especially in crypto. And I know there's some new people here. I know there's some experienced people. So you can all relate to it, or you may not relate to it. So when you look back at bull cycles or a bullish trend, there's always a pullback. And we always talk about the EMA 21s and stuff like that. And when it pulls back to certain levels and regions, it's like, if the bulls can withstand it, off we go. So it depends on the data, really. So we'll see. But earnings, hello. So the likes of Amazon, Apple, Google, Thursday, fucking what a day. Even Merrick is a huge company, right? These are multi-billion dollar companies. Some of them in the trillions, by the way, are going to get their earnings wrote out, listened to by every fucker. Waste Management on Wednesday, Meta, pretty big company as well. ExxonMobil, huge company before opening tomorrow. Today was a bit of a whatever. Random day. Not the greatest of hitters in there, but throughout the week, it's going to get progressively more meaty, right? So we'll see how things go. And that being said, if they are good earnings, it may well cause the market to pump. But the one thing that I will say is this. The S&P has been strong the last few days, but BTC hasn't really followed it through. It's kind of sat there a little bit. You can see on the BTC chart, it's not been great. It's kind of just stood still. And this is a 3-day time frame. We've been around this region now since the 19th of January. When we start looking at the likes of the S&P, for example, you know, we've been doing this similar sort of thing, but this has obviously gone up a little bit more. So when we talk about weight of moves, doing this little bit of a move here is a bit more interesting that BTC hasn't really followed through and made a new high, because this is also broken out, right? So not much to go on, but you know, realistically, this is in a much better structural point overall versus BTC, because BTC is at like top levels. So it'll be interesting. But gold. Hello, gold. Gold is also correcting, right? And so is crypto. Very, very interesting. I made the comparison to BTC and gold recently. Could be very, very interesting to see what happens. We will talk about this in more detail tomorrow. But yeah, we've got to kind of look at certain things. But if the market isn't looking favorable for good earnings this week, or good data, or hawkish narrative speak, so to speak, you know, say speak as many times as I want, you get the idea, right? This could melt. Like gold could melt, obviously. Or actually, no, if it's hawkish, gold may go up. So we've got to be careful. But the S&P is the one to worry for, because I still think that Bitcoin and stuff like that is still kind of tied to it a little bit, which is interesting, but also a little bit, you know, there's a bit of a showcase to say that, oh, we're actually tied to gold as well. So we'll see what happens. If the recession fears get amplified, they will be looking for alternative elements of cryptocurrency investment. But that doesn't mean it's just going to go moon. That could mean volatility. It could mean we pull back first and then we moon. So we've got to look at it. But yeah, we still need to weigh up some options for the earner, as always. We still need to look at the other bits of the market. I've obviously taken profits on Metis. Quant isn't too bad realistically, but as we say, we've got to look at where the all-time high has been. And yeah, we're looking at this, and Quant's not bad. It's like one of those ones that I may actually keep, but I'd like it a lot lower. I should have bought it down here, basically. I got a bit greedy. But ultimately, when we're looking at all-time high levels, it's like, yeah, it's not really tickling. You know what I mean? That's why. Same with Matic. But if this went to like $100, you kind of can justify it depending where it goes. But we'll see. But yeah, in terms of BTC, I'm expecting us to fall back into this range. The critical point for me on any pullback now is 21K. 21K is the first, you know, big level of genuine interest, right? So when we look at, obviously this is a potential resistance level, right? Kaping, bosh. It depends if this level is going to hold up, right? So for obvious reasons, if we do fall back into this boring range, it will be boring, but it's an obvious level where we're going to go. And I like to use the term obvious, look for your swings in the past, but sometimes when you're thinking in the future, looking for the obvious is like, oh, fuck. You know, sometimes when you look on the higher time frames and you're looking at like, oh, 13, 14K looked obvious. It did. Sometimes too obvious is too obvious, if that makes sense. So, yeah, it's one of those. It's a bit of an odd one. I know what I mean. It's hard to articulate it. But yeah, these candles are not looking great. When we look at the 2-day time frames, and you know, like this is not a good candle. If we close this candle, it's not ideal, realistically, but it's not a hidden, I wouldn't say hidden. It's not a bearish engulfing candle, but it is an obvious bearish divergence on the RSI. Also, you all know this little trick. On the higher time frames, what I like to look at is obviously a pullback to the EMA on like dominance charts and stuff like that. We have been a very, very long way away from this. So obviously the trigger to go long when we go below the EMA 21, as you know this trick, very, very clear. And then there's always a point where there'll be a pullback, we go and retest it. I think we're going to retest it soon. This is currently sitting at 12.3 in terms of that. And that would be a very nice chunky little retracement, probably retesting these levels to see where we go. So it's kind of all fallen into that kind of narrative that we are going to see a pullback at some point. If we do, cool, awesome. I mean, I'm looking to put more money into the market when we do that pullback, in all fairness, because I've said it on Learning Crypto on live on Friday. I know there's members on both here. They are very, very different, by the way, if you're wondering. I do believe that the bottom is 50-50 right now in terms of what we need to do is get clarification if we've got support levels. If we do go down to 21k, 20k, 19k, whatever, and hold the support, that is a really good confirmation. This is why I feel that we're going to fall back into this range and it may be boring for a while. That would confirm to me that the bottom's probably in, and this is kind of the bottom. This whole region here is the bottom. Unless, and I also said in the live stream, if something went cataclysmically wrong out of our control, i.e., fucking Binance blows up, or some big exchange does something stupid, or you know what I mean, that sort of situation, or we turn out that CZ likes lactose of children in orphan camps, random shit, stuff that you have no idea that's going to happen. It could happen, you just don't know, right? This is the thing with the financial markets, right? And this is the biggest thing I think a lot of people need to take home, is not that he may do that, but it's the fact that we are putting our money into a lot of things. You may be into dividend stocks, you may be into index funds, bonds, freaking property, shitty NFTs, no offense to anyone, crypto, whatever. You are relying on things to be tickety-boo and nothing is going to batter you. This is why risk management is important, being not all in on one, spreading your risk, knowing when to take profits, all that kind of good stuff, right? So it's a massively important thing. But right now, the altcoins are getting a little bit battered versus BTC. But as I say, a pullback will be very welcome right now. I always get on edge when the markets don't pull back. I always have, I always will. Yes, I'm exposed. Yes, I'm making money. Yes, I'm happy. But it just doesn't feel organic yet. You know what I mean? It doesn't feel like we've had that clear and obvious pullback, that clear and obvious higher low, and then that move to the upside, which is a lot more, in line with what used to happen in the olden days. I say the olden days, what we've kind of not got. And I obviously look at this as a mental run, right? But before all that happened, this is another thing as well, pointer. A lot of people are comparing this run to this. This is a very different scenario, COVID crash. But even in this run, we still had a very chunky 22%, 21% pullback. We've hardly even had a tickle of any sort of pullback. A 21% pullback would result in an 18k, 19k BTC, right? So that's the kind of gravity that we're on here. That's kind of what I'm expecting. This is what I'm looking at, and this is what I'm thinking that could rattle a few feathers. Now, I'm not saying 21% is going to happen. It obviously can happen. But even a freaking 10% correction would be very welcome right now. And I think, as much as I laugh at bulls, and I do because I think they're fucking hilarious, it would hurt them massively because a lot of them are aping into this. A lot of them are starting to go, oh, we're never going to trade below 22k again, or whatever saying. Obviously, that's a possibility. But the reality is, it's a very low probability factor because there's so much that could happen. Now, let's look at this again. When we're talking about the EMA pullbacks here, 13.9% on the weekly time frame is the EMA for the dominance here in terms of a potential pullback. We could pull back here, right? Create a lower high in the dominance and then just go boom, bull market. Or not so much a bull market, but a bullish trend into Q2, which would be pretty good, right? And I'd fucking love that. Of course I would. I think people have noticed that I have flipped my bias pretty well. I flipped it in November technically. I was just kind of a bit more cautious with it. But telling people to buy is because we were low. We were very low, and this was high. It's like, come on, guys, you can't go. It can't just. This can't go up forever, and the prices can't go down forever. There was a lot of people very, very bearish, and yes, there's a probability we could have went. Yes, prepare for it. but don't be like, I'm all out, which some people were. And I was like, oh God, that's a real risky strategy. And sometimes it does bite you on the ass, and these do bite. 1, 2, 3 very strong bullish weeks. Just 3 weeks we're talking here. And everyone's thinking it's a bull market. But this is why I'm thinking a 12 to 15 to 18% pullback would be pretty nice, right? And very, very welcome in my eyes. And I think for a lot of people in here, because let's be fair, the risk reward element to it is still massive. We can still make some absolute huge returns in the market, right? Size matters, but so do pullbacks, right? So to speak. This is why I'm expecting, a big change around the earner portfolio. You probably noticed the Discord's changed a lot. I'm going to be putting the old educational videos in its own section for the earner, so people can obviously follow who've joined now, because we haven't really started, let's be fair. Let's be honest here. I was very, very, I would say the word cautious in terms of my approach. And yes, 2 of my other orders on Rose and Algorand were very, very close. I could have had quite a lot of money in them versus what we have now. But the 3 assets that I picked didn't really pull back. Quant, Matic, and what's the other one? Atom have hardly pulled back, and it's been showing strength in the market, which is really irritating. I mean, Atom has been pretty good. The melt happened here, but this, of course we can pull back. But reality is, the risk to reward at these levels, if it doesn't pull back, is relatively limited. Unless it goes down to $6, which we kind of expected, it's still like, decent risk reward. Not massive, but okay enough. But from here, it's like, So it's one of those situations where we've got to kind of see what happens. But this could go way higher than its all-time high as well. So this is why I'm thinking 2 to 3 could get replaced. Atom may stay. It may well stay because it's a layer 0 as well. It's very, very different. And we may well just swap 2, which obviously, let's be fair here, Matic's like fucking, it's just not going down, is it? I mean, I had an order. Where did I have my first order? I had an order here, but I was also looking at like the $60 level, 60 cent level as well. Thinking, if it just goes underneath here and goes to retest these lows, it'll be all right. But we didn't even get anywhere close to it. I mean, December time, we got to like 74, and we were like, nah, sub 60, I'd be interested, but it just didn't happen. So frustrating. Anyways, anyone got any questions? Feel free to chuck any out there. Either or, depends on what you want me to look at. I can't get this scroll bar. There we go. Scroll over. Hello. Just seeing how many people we got. But feel free to chuck any questions in. It'll be interesting to see what happens with this vote. There's definitely some good options here for risk to reward. Certainly when we look at the overall grand scheme of things. So obviously VeChain's got 23 now. KSM, Nia, Metis, Cardano. It's funny how all my ones are like really strong at the bottom. A0 is interesting. Let's have a little look at A0. I don't know what the supplies are like. I mean, it's not too, I can't see on here. Hold on a minute. Where's Coin Kako? Coin Gecko, please. So, why is the S&P and the FTSE trending so different? Because the UK is completely fucked, and the US is nearly as fucked, maybe? I don't know, it's a bit of an odd one. I do think, though, that the UK really hit bottom quicker because it was nosediving. And you've got to remember, with what was happening in Parliament, there was a lot of, there was no confidence, let's be fair here. There was no confidence in a lot of things. So what you've probably seen is just a better recovery right now. What I was looking for, A0. Oh, I can't spell. 139 ranks, so it's not a big Z. Total supply, circulating price. There's still some not out there. Decent market cap realistically. Volume's relatively low. That's kind of goodish in a way. Not too low, but not too high. It's already gone up 50% last 30. Fuck's sake. Annoying. But in terms of this right now, this is where it gets interesting. This hasn't been around that long. So I know I'm going, oh, we should go for like the obvious. It's only been out for like a year. It's never had a bull cycle. And this is why I'm kind of turned on by it, thinking, aha. Now, I know I just said before, we want something to blast through its all-time high or go and meet it with a decent amount of demand, right? Obviously. This has never had a bull cycle. This has had a bear market rally cycle. So this reminds me of something like Zilica in a way, where it came out, shite time, didn't really experience a bullish cycle, and then obviously melted and did whatever. So it does look relatively good, but it's also a parachain. So it's very, very interesting. But that being said, when we look at it, I don't want too many layer ones, because it is a layer one privacy enhancing blockchain. It is basically the exact same thing as Rose. So it's kind of one of those thinking, oh, okay. But it has so much potential to do well, and it's thinking that this could be a really good one. It's already pretty popular. And yes, obviously under development, you can see it had Nova Wallet there, because obviously the parachain. And we all know parachain situations, right? So it looks a really solid one. And the fact that it's backed by now parachains, which is pretty cool. But we'll see, because this one could be an option. And again, yes, I'm not really, as I said, I'm not really that bothered about having the category is totally random. Don't mind having a few duplicates, but I don't want to have all layer ones, for example, which would be a bit shit. Another one was A-Star, which is in terms of parachains, 161 ranked, 226 million market cap. The supply will obviously change because of the parachain element to it. Nowhere near as popular as Glimmer, or nowhere near as much was raised for Glimmer, but it is a smart contract multi-chain. So this is a little bit different, but ultimately a good option for risk reward. Never had a bull market, similar to the likes of Moonbeam, etc., and obviously A-Star. So there's so much out there versus the likes of what we already had been looking at, and we can obviously buy these at a much better, fairer price and just sit on them like a fucking, like whatever. This could be worth a hell of a lot more as a layer one parachain blockchain. This could do probably a 10x easy and be worth $4 billion. If you're looking at full dilution, is $4 billion worth a lot in terms of the grand scheme of things of a layer one blockchain? Probably not in a height of a bull market. So it's very, very interesting to note that. So yeah, there's definitely options out there. But yeah, I don't think I would be putting Nia in here, by the way. I know I put it on there, but I don't think the risk to reward on Nia. Yes, it is good, don't get me wrong, but when I've just highlighted those two there, there's a lot more on the table potentially. The likes of VeChain, yes, it's much higher in market cap, but it has a huge track record, and it does seem to make money every single cycle. Decent volume always. It's a really good tradable coin. It's a decent use case. I mean, the website is dog turd. Always, hold on, there's two websites. It's the vchain.com. Hello. Is it the same? VWorld. Oh yeah, this is the actual product itself, so it's not too bad. So there's so much out there. There's so much out there that we can really look at. Obviously, Metis for layer 2 is a potential, which I'd probably be more inclined to using and looking at doing. I mean, look at them partners. It's absolutely savage. Really, really good. I mean, half of them are fucking not heard of, but the likes of Walmart, BMW, DNV, Bayer, for example, absolute monsters, really. But yeah, let me know your thoughts, guys. I mean, I'm more than happy to do whatever, but it is, at the end of the day, my money's. Funny enough. But it'd be good to get positions in. It'd be good to track this properly and have a bit of fun. I am considering massively to bin off completely derivative trading. I'm not really that much of into a trader anyways, but focusing on spot and the earner would be more fun, I think, for the community as well. Another one that tickled my fancy was this, but the supply is ridiculous. It's already mooned, so I kind of binned it already. Obviously, Quant and Nia are very, very similar, but as I say, Quant's good, but, it's already had a bull cycle, and it could blast through. It could blast through its all-time high, but I'm not sure yet because the hype on it's ridiculous. And there's a little bit of negativity around central bank coins and stuff, which is kind of one of the main things that it popped off with, which kind of worries me because I'm not really a fan of that, and I don't really want to be that sort of guy that goes against my own thoughts a little bit. So it's one of those. It may well suffer because of it. What else is a good on here? I've not really looked, to be fair, too much down here. Rocket Pool, woohee. Frax, anyone, by the way, that's really good for staking, by the way, Frax. If you've ever looked, what else is Lido as well? If anyone's checked out Lido for staking rewards. Yeah, but yeah, there's some good things out there. Whoa, why is OKB really, really high up? Or have I just totally missed something off here? Crazy. I was debating an exchange coin as well, like Qcoin, because Qcoin's all the way down here. You know, Qcoin is a $809 million market cap coin. Very, very interesting to see that. You know what happens when shit coins pump, right? Qcoin goes up. But yeah, feel free to let me know. We have got some decisions to make, but I'm going to try and do it this week, and then we can start getting into a rhythm with it by Thursday. So this is why I've asked for I want to see what's popular, then I'm going to decide. But I do think A0 is a definite option. It could be like the next Zilliqa. But hopefully they don't block me on social media when I cry. Or when I tell them their website shit. But it's also an enterprise. It's an enterprise kind of element too. So this could be a really good replacement for likes of Quant. So it's an enterprise grade public blockchain with smart contract privacy elements to it as well. So I looked at, you won't be able to see on the screen, but above on the browser tab, it has that, which is kind of important to know. And oh, you can stake it too. You can tell I've not done much research on it just yet. I'm still having a little butchers. But yeah, it looks a really solid option. Kind of half sold on this one. So it'll be A0 versus Rose. Who will do better? Kind of situation, which isn't a bad thing to do, to be fair. Utility. Obviously, you can see the utility side of it. Decent amount staked. There's a lot of holds. It's a good community. I think this will probably survive pretty well. This is one thing as well. I know new people are here, but the idea is not to make fucking mega money. It's the idea is to fucking survive. And at the end of the day, the reality is, and I've said this before very, very recently actually, that there is still some money coming out though. Obviously, you can see there's an unlock, so that might fall in our favor. But the end of the day, right? If you can get 3 or 4 decent assets that do like a 3, 4, 5x, it's going to grow your account anyways, and it's, you know, you win. $5,000 could become $35,000, $45,000 very, very easily if you're just picking solid things. And you know, the reality is some of the elements are right in front of you, which is pretty important. So you can tell there's inflation. I really like this website. This is really cool. Yes, there's inflation. Probably would be better off staking, but this may well fall in our favor for it to go lower in price if the market does turn around. But yeah, we've still got quite a bit of like period. But you know, the reality is we're kind of running out of some of the time here in terms of what's going to be happening, in terms of some of the allocations, which isn't too bad. So how much is estimated circulating supply? 249 roughly here. And obviously in 5 years' time, it's going to be fully diluted out. So yeah, we've already done the bulk of it, which is good. So that's not too bad. And obviously the token generation, it's as I say, it's not been out. You know, this came out literally the peak of the bull cycle. Unlucky. Staking. Can we make monies on it? What's the staking? Looks similar to, well, it will be similar to Polkadot realistically because of the parachain element to it. Like you can tell by the terminology used. You know, the terminology of validators, nominators, staking details, all that kind of stuff. So very similar to what Polkadot say. 12.51%, not too shabby. Yeah, Nova. Oh, you can do it on Nova. Oh, hello. It's pretty good, that. Unlocked 14 days. So this is very similar to the Polkadot kind of ecosystem. Very, very similar to it. Pretty good. I like it a lot. Feel free to let me know what you think. But yeah, this could be the quant replacement. Wow. Another one as well that kind of tickled. Hello, there's my Twitter. I've lost it. No, I haven't. Hedra Hashgraph was another one. Similar sort of market cap to quant, which kind of puts me off a little bit. But in terms of what it is, it's not bad. You know, it's very, very different though. In terms of it, but you can see obviously the governing council is massive on this. I would probably, the thing with this one, and it always has put me off a little bit, is how decentralized is it? it's a responsible, governed, decentralized network. But some of the biggest centralized companies in the world are here: Boeing, Google, IBM, Standard Bank. Kind of puts me off a little bit. So it's an option, but I do think there's better out there in terms of risk reward, because obviously, you know, this is ranked. This is a 1.6 billion market cap coin, full diluted 3.2 billion. So it's not got the greatest risk reward. As much as the fundamentals are okay, as I say, you could probably find better. I know we've got Algorand, but you know, when we look at this, it's 2.4. You know, there's you know, it's very, very different in terms of that. But we've obviously had orders lower because we're actually up quite a bit on the earner so far. Well, not by much, but you get the idea. But yeah, anyways, anyone got any more questions before I rock and roll and leave? Because we do have some decisions to make regarding the earner, but we will start having fun with it soon. Hopefully by Thursday's update, I've picked some. As much as I want to give some input to you guys, obviously, thank you for giving me some options. I think some of the options have been really good. That's why I put them to a vote to see how popular they are and see what people are thinking. I do question some guys, some of you lot for like picking things, which is interesting. So in terms of the vote, very, very interesting results. I was expecting some better results from some of them in here. But yeah, we'll see how things go. But yeah, A0 looks like a good shout. I think VeChain looks like a solid shout as well. And yeah, we'll see. Whether we keep Atom or not, I don't know. Whether we keep Quant, I don't know. Matic is definitely going in the bin. But you get the idea. Matic could be replaced by Metis, to be fair, but I don't really want to put my own one in there. I can't think of any different layer 2 blockchains that don't have the VCs in them. I don't want the VCs. You know, OP is good, but the VC element is an absolute off-put. It's a massive, massive off-put. Because obviously I don't want to be totally shot on. Whereas A-Star's all right, you know, in terms of, not A-Star, yeah, A-Star and stuff like that will be all right because of the Parachain stuff, because we kind of know that. But yeah, we don't want to be shut on completely by dilution. What do you think about Sunday Swap? What the fuck's that? Anything like that's a bit, yeah, I'm not too sure. The only reason being is because I've seen so many of these absolutely do shit. Is this a new one? If it's new, it can go in the, yeah, it's gone in the bin. I mean, it's got 75,000 volume. That's a big arsey red flag straight away, and no real information. If this is like brand new, yeah, it looks brand new. Yeah, no thank you. No. These are all just copy and paste things. But no. If you're going to use anything like this, you need liquidity. You need the juice to get the orders in. Otherwise, your, what do you call it? Your slippage is going to be through the roof because you'll never get your orders in. But anyways, thank you for turning up. I'll be about, over the course of the week, I'll be updating Patreon, Discord quite a lot over the next few days, making some little changes, little adaptations, and moving some content so it's more visible. Some of the older stuff, some of the lesson stuff,